Every one of us already has an incredible amount of knowledge. Any computer system in the world would be jealous of that. Why not make use of that when learning something new? Existing knowledge has the benefit that it is already firmly embedded in your long-term memory. Through the technique of association, you simply link new information with existing ones. The result is that you will be able to acquire knowledge more efficiently because you create more relevance. Instead of simply repeating words and facts, your brain is actively and consciously processing and restructuring the new input. This leads to a higher awareness and a better understanding of the subject matter. Let me give you a simple example to start with. How many people have walked on the moon so far? The answer is 12. This is easy to remember because you can associate that each month of the year represents one astronaut. Here is another example about a historical fact. Charlemagne, or Charles the Great, who was the king of the Franks, was born in the year 747. That's also easy to remember because you can associate it with an airplane called a Boeing 747. As you can see, the association options are endless and personalized to your individual knowledge. The connections you are building can be completely random, crazy, funny, or strange. It doesn't really matter. You can be totally creative as long as your associations between new knowledge and existing knowledge combines one common fact. If you're learning something new, simply browse through your long-term memory and search for endless but easy to recall association possibilities. You can even create, if possible, multiple associations. That way you can make sure that your ties from the existing knowledge to the new one become even stronger, more valuable, and therefore more relevant. You might comment at this point that remembering the number 747 or the number 12 is not very challenging. Who needs a technique of association for that? Let's get a bit more challenging to show you the bigger power of association. Let's go back to the list of words which I gave you earlier. Here they are again. Street, eggnog, judge, pan, bell, popcorn, money, development, press, sign, flag, wind. I will now demonstrate to you how fast you can actually remember these words and keep them in your long-term memory without any effort. Looking at these words, I actually prefer to use pre-existing images in my mind instead of hard facts. In the first image, I remember a street party of my children in front of their school. I envision that the kids are selling eggnog, popcorn, and fry some stuff in the pan. The party finally ends once the school bell rings. The second image shows the UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon giving a press conference in front of the United Nations building, showing all flags of the member states in the background. All flags have signs of their country and are waving in the wind. Last but not least, I envision a judge inside this UN building who obligates the member states to spend more money for the development in the third world. As you can see, visual references actually work quite well. They are excellent association references and helpful when the study matter gets more and more complex. However, using visual references was actually not my only trick. I also use a technique of chunking. You might remember my table of books, which I use to describe our short-term memory. Each book represents a bit of information that our brain holds at a time. As a result, we can only keep between 5 to 9 pieces of information in our short-term memory in one moment. That's quite a low number. This is the reason why you can understand a whole lecture while listening to the teacher, but later you can't recall all the major points. The short-term memory is therefore the bottleneck of our learning process. When I created my 3 associated images, I was actually maximizing my limited space by chunking. That means I bundled up a few pieces of information into one package instead of separating them one by one. In this one example, I just needed 3 spots in my short-term memory to remember 12 key words. I basically put a few books on top of each other instead of placing them side by side. This is actually not an invention that I came up with. We all chunk information every day without noticing it. Let's look at the number 4056. This number represents for you just one bit of information. A child, on the other hand, might need 4 spaces to remember all numbers, because the child might know the numbers 1 through 10 only. It is the same with words. If you read a word in a foreign language, you might need more chunks than a native speaker. As a result, pre-existing knowledge in the combining string through association helps you to use your short-term memory more efficiently and transfer that information to your long-term memory instantly. You saw how fast I learned my 12 key words just now. If you come up with 12 new words and try the principle of association in chunking, I almost guarantee you won't forget any information, even after a break of 10 minutes or more. Try it out. Here's a list of 12 new words.